And it's been another week. Hey guys, I have a lot of time lapses for you today. Me working on Pops, and I time lapsed our entire viewing of the 6 hours running time of Gilmore Girls: A Year in the Life, because I want to talk to you about why I love Gilmore Girls so much. Eliza's gonna be back here working on her schoolwork. She's completely hiding behind me.
Am I?
Yeah. But you love Gilmore Girls too.
I do. I love Gilmore Girls.
Gilmore Girls is probably one of my top 3 shows of all time. The third position's always changing. Top 2 for sure are Gilmore Girls and Veronica Mars. Third place jumps back and forth between like Firefly, Buffy, Lost. Like the third position is constantly shifting depending on what I'm currently into. Doesn't matter, who cares? Human beings love to rank stuff for some reason. We just have to rank everything. We decided we were gonna spend the Friday after Thanksgiving. Our only task was to watch all of the new episodes of Gilmore Girls. Movies, really. And it was wonderful. It was just so wonderful. I was a little bit nervous given every time something that I love comes back, like the Veronica Mars movie, even though I donated and have my t-shirt. I feel like it was hard for the movie to compete with what our memory of the show was. And I was wondering if the Gilmore Girls is going to be like that. Same with Arrested Development. Loved Arrested Development so much. The Netflix version of season 4 felt like it was lacking something to me. It happens a lot in movie sequels too. And I was worried about Fantastic Beasts, but we went to see that this week and I absolutely loved it in a very different way than I love the Harry Potter series. It feels very different from the Harry Potter movies. It's the way you hunch forward.
I'll lean back.
No. You do your thing.
I'm back.
You need power. Your laptop's gonna die at your PowerPoint presentation.
You're not gonna take 26%.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm a very verbose person.
You are.
Just like the show Gilmore Girls. Everybody always talks about how fast they talk on that show. And it's not as fast as one would think. The reason it's no spoilers is that I'm not going to go into detail about what Gilmore Girls is about. I mean, it's about a woman trying to raise her daughter and their relationship, and the relationship they have to the wealthy generation before her, and all their relationships and things like that. There's certain reveals, I guess, where you're just like, ooh, what's that gonna do to all the relationships? But it's not like a plotted show. The point of Gilmore Girls is spending time with those people, with Lorelai and Rory and Luke. It was such a pleasure to just see them again. Since they're doing a year, it's 4 movies, right? It's hour and a half each. They do a winter, spring, summer, and fall. Basically, movies, hour and a half movies. Halfway into winter, which is the first one, I was like, this is great. They're not trying to put a plot in here and move it forward. This just feels like I'm hanging out with the Gilmore Girls in Stars Hollow. This is exactly what I wanted from this. I wanted to see what happened to everybody, what they're doing now. It's like catching up with old friends, what they're doing 9 years later, and everything felt on point. There were certain things that happened in there, like one segment of summer, it felt like a really long, it just felt like a weird branch. But that would have been an episode in a season of Gilmore. It's just these things. That would have been a 1 episode plot line. Otherwise, we're just kind of catching up with people and what they're doing 9 years later, what they hope for now that they're 9 years down the road. And it just was wonderful. I know it says Why I Love Gilmore Girls, No Spoilers as the title, because I always put no spoilers because we live in such a spoiler conscious world right now. In a show like that, there is no such thing as a spoiler. Because even if you know, oh, this person ends up with this person, it doesn't matter. Because every minute you're spending in that show is about spending time with the characters. It's not about what's the next plot point, what's the next plot point. And yeah, each episode has something that is trying to be achieved or a question that needs answering. The world is not stake. Life or death situations are rarely taking place. It's not like an action show, All it is people hanging out. On an episode of House, somebody's life was always at stake. The patients. In Gilmore Girls, we end up in a hospital a couple times, but other than that, it's like just people trying to relate to each other, a bunch of perspectives at play, and everyone's super clever. It's just it's Amy Sherman Palladino and Daniel Palladino, but Amy Sherman Palladino especially. She's an exceptional writer, super clever. They're just so quick and witty. I love it. I loved A Year in the Life. It's not one of those things that you can just jump into. I'm sure you can, but I doubt you could just jump into these 4 movies and feel about it the way that Eliza and I felt about it. We cried so much. Now she's working, she can't hear me. There were certain times when a character would show up, and it was the perfect time for the character to show up. Like, and we would just be like, you know, to see them again and to see them show up just when you needed them. Awesome storytelling. Emotional, interpersonal relationship storytelling. And that's what I love about Gilmore Girls. It doesn't care about the plot, this plot, that plot, the other plot. Who cares? About watching these people make these decisions and dealing with them and the consequences of them when everybody has their own perspective and their perspective is informed. It's perfect character writing for me. And yes, sometimes they get a little goofy with the goofy town stuff that goes on, and the character of Kirk is like basically a goofy caricature all the time. That's just who that guy is, you know? And as soon as you're like, oh, okay, so Kirk has a pet pig now. Spoiler alert. I don't think that's a big spoiler. A little pig named Petal. And that little pig is fantastic. They also make these little decisions that make this life in this town feel super real. Petal will escape, and then as Kirk is trying to chase him down, somebody off camera, you hear scream, "Go, Petal, go!" And Kirk is like, "Don't encourage her!" You know, so like, it's just this life in this town. Everybody knows that Kirk has a pig named Petal, apparently, now, 9 years later. It's just those kind of decisions that just fill the show with such personality. I love Gilmore Girls. I love it. And A Year in the Life was everything I wanted it to be. Nicely done, Netflix. Oh, God. And I hope there's more, of course. I always do. But if there's not, I think they ended it in a very story-appropriate place as well. You're going to block my light, kitty. You can't. As for the rest of the time lapse this week, I've been super busy. Here's the thing about working. One thing that actually helps me stay involved a lot are these time lapses. While I know I'm being time-lapsed, I feel like, oh man, I have to sit here and I have to work. I know I'm being watched. And that actually helps me stay focused. So this week I had a couple good stretches of work time. So, I hope you guys have a good week. If you want to tell me what your top 3 shows are, that's always fun. I like to check in, see what people are watching, see what people are feeling. All mine are like years old at this point. I've been talking to my dad about that too. We kind of were talking about that at Thanksgiving Day, how I don't watch a ton of stuff anymore because anytime I'm watching something, I feel like I should be working. So by the time I'm done working for the day, we only have time for like a half-hour episode of something. So we'll watch like Modern Family or New Girl or an old episode of The Office, you know? Oh. Gotta go move the car because we're parked in a 2-hour space outside. So that's it. I gotta go move the car. I love Gilmore Girls so much. I look forward to seeing some of your top shows if you feel like telling me. Feel like continuing this cultural conversation. Oh, here's a new thing that we're gonna be doing. There's the Pops logo. And you can click on it to subscribe. I know most of you guys who watch me are already subscribed, but I see about people doing these end screen things and I think it's super cool, so I'm gonna do it too. So now the Pops logo is going to appear down here. Last week when we saw all the stuff I used to do, someone asked about the Cinematic Study Guides. That is a link to the Cinematic Study Guide playlist, and this one will be to Movie Rant number 2. I hope you guys have a good week, and I will see you then. Mwah.